Hey there, welcome. So, every single day, right, we're using things like AI and search, and we just don't give it a second thought. But have you ever wondered what's going on under the hood? What are the invisible forces that are actually driving these tools? Well, today we're going to peel back that curtain and see what really makes them tick. Think about it. When you type a question into an AI chatbot, or even just into a search bar, what do you imagine is happening? What's going on the other side of that screen? For most of us, we probably picture some kind of genius algorithm just whirring away, or maybe these massive, endless rows of servers in a giant data center. And yeah, you're not wrong. That's definitely part of it. But what if I told you that the most powerful force at play here isn't a single piece of tech at all? What if it's something way bigger, way more complex, and it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time? And that's exactly where we need to start. We've got to look beyond just the algorithms and the apps if we want to see the whole interconnected picture. So typically, when we try to understand technology, we break it down into its parts, right? We look at the app, we look at the algorithm, we look at our phones. We tend to see each piece on its own. But here's the thing. The real story, the one that actually explains how these things behave and evolve, it isn't in the pieces themselves. It's in the connections. It's in this huge, invisible web that links all the users, creators, platforms, and advertisers together. Okay, so if we're going to see this giant, interconnected web, we need a new mental model. We need a totally new way of looking at the digital world. This right here shows the shift perfectly. See, instead of focusing on the individual components and just asking, how does it work, we're going to start focusing on the connections and the feedback loops. And that lets us ask a much more interesting question. How does it behave? This is the heart of an idea called systems thinking. Exactly. It's basically about seeing the whole forest instead of just looking at one or two trees. Understanding these relationships, these interactions, that's the key. And it is the exact lens we're going to use to figure out what is really going on with AI right now. All right, let's put this new lens to work. We're going to dig into 4 hidden feedback loops that are shaping AI and search as we speak. Okay, first up, we have the AI learning loop. And you can think of this one like a snowball rolling downhill. It's what we call a reinforcing cycle, where every step just makes the next one bigger and bigger, leading to some pretty explosive growth. So here's how it works. More users start using an AI. That generates a ton more data. All that data is then fed back in to improve the AI model itself. And of course, a better model gives better results, which, you guessed it, attracts even more users. And the whole thing starts over, but bigger. You can see how this becomes this incredible engine for growth. It's why the biggest AI platforms are getting so big so fast. But not all of these loops are so positive. Let's look at what's happening with the content creator value loop. Right now, this looks like a breaking cycle, and it's threatening a relationship that's been core to the web for decades. So for years, it worked like this. Publishers created great content and search engines sent them traffic. They'd make money from ads on that traffic. It was a pretty balanced system. But now, AI just gives you the answer directly. You don't even have to click a link. This breaks the loop, and it basically starves content creators of the traffic and the revenue they absolutely need to survive. And that leads us to a third and, frankly, a potentially really dangerous loop, the AI-generated content loop. This one is a degenerative cycle, meaning it could cause the quality of the entire system to spiral downwards. Just think about it for a second. AI makes creating content super cheap and easy. So the web gets flooded with all this synthetic stuff. Now, what happens when future AI models are trained on this massive pile of AI-generated, often lower quality data? Well, you get a potential model collapse, where the AI's own quality starts to degrade because it's basically learning from its own flawed, recycled outputs. But the system isn't helpless. It adapts. And this brings us to our 4th loop, a balancing cycle. This is where the system tries to find a new equilibrium, a new normal. So as traditional SEO, search engine optimization, becomes less effective, smart creators aren't just throwing in the towel. They're adapting. They're figuring out how to optimize their content so that AI models can easily understand and surface it. It's a whole new field called LSO, or LLM search optimization. That's large language model optimization, basically making your content AI friendly. This is a perfect example of a balancing force trying to correct the system. So as you can see, these loops don't exist in a vacuum. They bump into each other, they interact. So let's zoom out and look at the wider ripple effects they're causing across the entire digital world. This is such a critical insight. You know, when an AI hallucinates and just makes up facts, that's not a simple bug that someone can go in and fix. It's what's called an emergent property. It's an unexpected side effect that just arises from all the complex interactions within the system. Nobody designed it to do that. It just emerged. And this is where you start to see all kinds of unintended consequences. AI summaries that were meant to be helpful end up hurting publishers. Licensing deals made to be fair could end up giving a few giant platforms even more power. Even well-meaning regulations could accidentally slow down innovation. Seemingly good ideas can have these negative effects that just ripple across the whole system. Which, of course, raises a fair question. When you see how tangled and complex this all is, it can feel a little overwhelming, right? It might even seem impossible to make any kind of positive change. But there is an answer, and it lies in the incredible power you get from simply being able to see the whole system. Because here's the really empowering part. Once you understand the feedback loops and the connections, you can start to identify what are called leverage points. These are specific places in the system where a small, smart push can create a huge, positive change that cascades everywhere. You have to see the system first, and then you can change it. So I'll leave you with this. We've given you a new lens, a new way to see the digital world. You can now start to spot the hidden loops and connections that drive, well, everything. The question isn't just, how does it work anymore? Now it's, how can we make it behave better? So, now that you can see the system, what will you change?